Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Fit Chicks Chat. My name's Laura Jackson.
And I'm Amanda Quinn.
And on today's episode, we are doing essentially our Q4 kickoff slash recap of where we've been at to this point this year. We're just talking offline, and I think that I love having these conversations because I feel like so many times, especially in business, but this could be in health too, you're just moving so fast and you're looking forward, forward, forward that you don't take a moment to kind of reflect. And there's so many lessons in the things that you have done to this point, the things that haven't worked, the things that have worked. And then it also helps you really set the tone of like what you want to bring into the next quarter or what you want to be achieving. So I love having these conversations. It's also kind of an update of what's going on around FitChicks Academy and some challenges we've been having and some awesomeness we've been having. So hopefully this will inspire you guys to get pumped up for your final quarter of 2024, which is insane to say.
I know it's actually crazy how fast this year went. I feel like as you get older, the years go by faster. And I
Oh yeah.
actually believe that to be true. Because I remember back in the day when we were in school and it'd be like you couldn't wait till summer and it took so long to get there. And now it's like we've already been like we're already 3 months out from the end of year. Like it's great. It's actually like mind blowing to me how fast it's going.
I know. I think well, it's also when you have small children, right? And you look at them and it's like every year they change so much.
Mhm.
And, every grade, it's like, school year, September to June. But then I feel like as you're an adult, it's like because, I look at pictures of me like 5 years ago and I look exactly the same. So it's like, I just kind of feel like all the years, I'm like, oh my gosh, another year, like, what year is this picture from? So I think that's why I think though it's so important to have these conversations because like life, even when it seems like sometimes like you'll wake up, for example, I'll be like, I feel like I haven't gotten nothing done in the last couple of months. And when you actually take time to take inventory of the things that you've done, you're like, wait a second. You know what I mean? Like I have created and achieved a lot. And I'm such a big believer in the lessons and the things that didn't work out as much as in the things that did. So, a lot of times people will say, oh, like for example, if we have one of our students who's like, "Oh, I really wish I would have more clients at this point in the year." But when you look back and you're like, "Okay, wait a second, I was on a family vacation for 4 weeks and I was out of my business enjoying self-care, which is just as important." You know what I mean? Like you have reflection on the things that are important to you and then also how do I start to achieve this goal while also balancing family and friends or health or whatever that is. So I love reflection. I think for me, it's actually one of the most powerful tools, and I don't use it enough. So I'm excited
Mhm.
for this.
Yeah,
So
I
we're about
think
to head
that
into
most
Q4.
people don't use it enough.
Oh, I know. I know. And it's also part of a gratitude practice. That really is also what it is. So I teach a workshop for a group of female entrepreneurs, and I do it every quarter for them. It's a reflection workshop. And what I always go through with them is looking at the different areas of their lives and giving them a ranking. They give themselves like a ranking of 1 to 10, 1 being it sucked and 10 being it was amazing. So we look at their business, we look at their personal life, we look at their health, their self-care. All of those things are important, right? But it's fascinating when you start to do these every single quarter and you could see, okay, well, last year my business was doing, last quarter my business was doing amazing, but my self-care was a 1. And that's not how I want to live my life, right? And then it's not saying it has to be self-care and business, but or I had a lot of family time and my business didn't grow, but it maintained, and I'm okay with that. Right? It keeps you kind of like grounded in that awareness. But so we do that, and then we go through what was a goal that you hit in that quarter that you had set for yourself, and why do you think you hit it? And then going through what was a goal you did not hit, and why do you think you did not hit it? So it gives you a chance to kind of celebrate too the things that worked and then the things that you're like, why did I not? And then giving you again reflection tools and then figuring out, okay, what do I need to do to now get that? And it's funny because this style of workshop too, I've talked about this even with our students around weight loss and around
Mhm.
health. It's like, okay, what is a goal that you hit in the last quarter that um and why did you hit that? So if it was like, okay, my goal was that I was gonna go to the gym 3 days a week and I did it. Like what were the things that set you up? What were the thoughts that set you up for that? What were the actions that set you up for that? What was it? Why do you think that you achieved that goal? Because there's, again, those are the habits that then you translate into other things, right? And then we also go through the flip side. What was a goal you did not hit? And what were the thoughts and all of that, why you didn't hit that? So with weight loss, if you're like, hey, I hit it 3 days a week, but then I didn't hit my goal of losing 20 pounds. You know what I mean? Like, but then sometimes it just gives you a chance to kind of celebrate that, yes, I'm moving forward, but also there's things that I'm not there yet. What do I need to do to bring that forward? So I just think it's a really, really powerful tool. And I love doing that. And I love thinking about it because we're about to go into our Q4 planning.
Yes. I know, and I'm excited for our Q4 planning because we have big goals. We have like probably the most aggressive goal that we've ever set for ourselves ahead of ourselves. And it's awesome. And I think it's also a mindset shift. Like I'm saying it's awesome because rather than it thinking like, oh my gosh, this goal is going to be so big and it's going to be impossible, or it's going to be something that feels so challenging. Instead, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like I love this challenge for ourselves because I think that what it's going to do is it's going to create the opportunity to be able to think completely different, to act completely different, to become completely different, to be able to reach that goal. I remember when we were at a conference recently and we saw Brendan Burchard speak. And I don't know if you remember this, Laura, when he was talking about things that seem impossible and then they become possible. And he did this whole thing on how so many people think like, oh, that sounds impossible. He's like, but then if you look back at your life, and this is the whole thing we're talking about today, this reflection thing. It's like if you look back at your life, there's probably things that you're like, oh my gosh, the idea of, you and I becoming friends and meeting in science class in grade 9 is kind of impossible because we didn't live in the same area. We went to the same school, but it wasn't like we grew up together or anything like that. So it's like it becomes this impossible thing that happened. So it is possible. So anything is possible. And that was his whole talk, was about the idea that anything is possible. So even if you right now are listening and you're like, that sounds impossible, or me getting 20 clients, or me losing 50 pounds, or me doing this in the next 3 months before the end of this year sounds impossible, just like our goal that we're setting for ourselves sounds like an impossible goal. We have to rethink of it in a different way of like, but it is going to be possible because there's so many other things that I didn't think were possible that have happened. So anything is possible. And I don't know.
Well,
I
and
think
I'm
I
looking,
feel like I talked in like a circle around that, but it's like I
no,
love the concept of it though. It's so smart because it's
but it
proof to
goes,
ourselves.
yeah, and everything is impossible till it becomes possible. Like I'm sure, if if you're married and you're listening to this, like you probably thought at one point, like, will I ever get married? Or you know what I mean? Like that you're gonna end up buying a house. Like there's a point when you're like, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, adults, like how do they have money to buy these things? Like you create these things as you go. And I think that that's why I love the concept of impossible goals too. So, well, we're going to kind of jump around here. So, like, there's the reflection piece, right? So, and we're going to talk about, I want to go through some of the highlights of what we've created so far this year, because again, those are the things that if we don't take a moment and look at in the first 9 months of 2024, we have done a lot of stuff, which is
Yeah.
crazy to think that when I actually started like thinking about this podcast and things that, you know, we've completed or we've launched or we've tested or we've scrapped, right? How many things have happened in the 9 months? And then how do we basically collapse time and do that in the next three, right? To create like even bigger goals, moving that quicker in 3 months. So there is a concept called impossible goals, and it was actually one of my teachers taught it to me. And it's around this idea, obviously, of setting like a really massive, impossible goal. We've talked about this before on the podcast, like a goal that's uncomfortable, a goal that does not make logical sense to you, right? So
Yeah.
it's like if I said to you tomorrow, like, could you make $10,000 tomorrow? You could probably say to me, yes, I could, because you have the ability, you know how to market, you know how to sell, you know about offers, you know about business and all that stuff. But if I said to you, do you know how to make $500,000 tomorrow? Your brain would go, huh? What are you talking about? Right? And again, it applies to weight, it applies to health, it applies to buying houses, traveling the world, like, anything that right now to you just seems like, oh, that seems impossible. If the word impossible starts to pop in your mind, then that's a goal that would be one of your impossible goals. But then what you do is it's so fascinating because your brain starts to get to work around solving for that goal. And
Yeah.
what that does, it's almost like it's stretch thinking. Like it stretches your brain, your capacity for ideas, your capacity for possibility. Because at first you're going to say like, well, I don't know how to make $500,000 tomorrow. But then when you start to think about it, you're going to start to drill it down to action, right? Because you're like, well, I could sell, if you have a house, I could sell my house. I could sell my car to start moving towards that. I could maybe go out there and offer to, run someone's business for them and they pay me up front. Like you start to find these like little solutions, and then maybe they seem impossible, but then as you start to go through the ideas, your brain starts to be like, okay, wait a second. You start to normalize, or it does now start to seem possible. And then
Mhm.
you get to work on trying those things. But it's like, that's where I think, again, it's like tying in the future paced thinking with the reflection on the past, allowing that stuff to be your fuel to fuel your future and move you towards your goals, but also be able to stay stay focused on what it is that you want to achieve. Like it's I don't know, I love this whole process. I think it's really powerful, and I think when people actually do it and actually sit down and go through these steps, you really start to see how much you've achieved so far and what you're capable of achieving in the future. Cuz if you would have asked me 5 years ago if we would have been able to achieve the stuff that we would be able to achieve now, I would probably say yes, but would I truly have believed it? Do you know what I mean? Like, because now it's
Totally.
who we are. It's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean because you have to have it's like you need to be able to think bigger, but then you also need to be able to have proof to back it, to back those thoughts, to be able to say to yourself like, well, actually I can do this. It's the same thing that I say to a lot of our students that are coming into our academy where I'm always like, they're like, "Oh, I don't know if I could take this course. I might be too old, or I've been in my career for so long, and I don't know if I could learn that way or things." I'm like, think about something you've done in this past year that you didn't think you could achieve, and you've achieved it. And
Yeah.
you just need proof and concept. It's like the proof of like, I have abilities that I can achieve things that I set my mind to. And once you prove yourself that that is true, then it's easier to get into like the impossible goals, right? But you have to have proof of concept. You have to have proof to yourself that like I am capable and I am able to achieve hard things. And it's funny.
Well,
It's like we tell people, sorry, I was just gonna say, like, we always tell people that all the time, or especially kids, right? Like we'll say to them, like, you could do things. Like one of my favorite statements that I make in our family is, you could do hard things, right? And we talk about this all the time because could be things that seem so hard or so challenging, like learning how to skate or learning how to swim or all these things. And then I'm like, look where you are now. And now you can like, do backflips off of the diving board or whatever it is. And it's like before you would sink like a rock when you jump in the pool, right? So it's like understanding where you come from. But it's all about the self-reflection, proof of concept, proof of ability to be able to move forward, to become bigger and to become better than you were yesterday. But you have to have that ability and that time to be able to self-reflect.
well, and also it's the whole thing to me, one of my favorite statements. Well, not favorite statements now, but it's one of my favorite examples to use with people is the idea of when people say, I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
People always say, oh, I'll believe it when I see it because they're looking for proof of concept to then have the belief that it's possible for them.
Yeah.
But when you like the key is the secret is you have to believe it before you see it. That's what manifestation really is. It's not about magically coming up with thoughts and things, but you have to believe in the possibility of it.
Hmm.
And then you have to take the action and try things to just try to prove that hypothesis right. So like I I love the woo too, but I also like to talk about it even in just like a scientific
Me
way. I said this,
too.
we just did our holistic weight loss coach week challenge and it was amazing. And I was just talking about, how business, like to me, this, especially with business, well, with most things in life, it's you're basically making a hypothesis, right? You're basically just saying, I think this is going to work. So like
Yeah.
for us, we just ran a challenge in a different way than we've ever run it, right? We don't usually run it the way that we did it this time. Um, so we were testing a new kind of framework and of delivering the challenge. And it was awesome. But it was funny because we didn't know if it was going to work. We literally said, we think based on research we've done based on things we've seen other people do, that this
Past
format could work
experiences.
for us. Yeah.
Yep.
So then we had to go and then try it and say, okay, yes, it did work, or no, it didn't work. But this is where so many people get stuck, and I used to get stuck too, is in this place of we want to feel secure, we want to feel safe that this is the path to go on. So we need evidence, but the problem is if you've never done it before, there is no evidence. Right? So
Right.
you have to create. So that's why I always like that idea of looking at it like, like a hypothesis. Like I think this is going to work. I'm going to try it. I'm not going to make it mean anything if it doesn't, right? But we put so much
Right.
weight on this. I need to know, I need the proof, I need the outcome. But the thing is, most things in life, the only way you get the proof is by doing the thing. But you have to believe first to do the thing to get the proof. So it's kind of like that chicken and the egg situation.
It
So
completely is.
I just know life can be so crazy and magical. But you have to go after it. So it's like, that's where for us right now, as we're doing this podcast, we're sitting at the beginning of Q4. And our goal for the next 3 months is basically to do the amount of business that we did in the last 9 months. So trying to collapse that into a 3 month window. So
Yeah.
over this last year, I just want to say a couple of things that we've done, and I want you to add to this, Amanda. But this year has been really crazy. So we have, first of all, we went all in on ourselves and we invested in high level coaching.
Yeah.
So we're part of a mastermind that's um we've been traveling a lot this year. And like honestly, I'm ready to get to work because I feel like again with the travel, I've been expanding my mind, but I have so much information. I need action. I need time for action. So we invested in a high level coaching group. We launched our menopause certification to the world to rave reviews. We've had, I can't believe the feedback from it. It's been so incredible. So our holistic perimenopause and menopause coach certification. If you want more information on that, check out fitchixacademy.com/menopause. But that was a big undertaking because it was the first certification that we have launched since holistic, the holistic weight
Hmm.
loss coach certification. And that was in 2018. So it's
Yeah.
6 years later, like
Certifications are a beast, but
building a
certifications, like,
certification is a beast.
to build a certification, to go through all of the necessary steps to ensure that all of the information is like it's sourced, it's fact checked, it's goes through all the red tape
Actionable.
to be able
It's
to be approved, accredited, all of those things. It takes so much time, but we love building it and we love doing the work because we know that what it serves, the purpose it serves, is so much greater than the work itself.
well, and it's something too that again, you know, I say this a lot to you. I say this a lot to in like we're playing the long game. I want to invest my time and energy in things that are going to be able to last the test of time and make an impact. So it's like this is something that, again, we're like we build things that are in line with what's going on in our lives too, right? And we're heading into that season of life, perimenopause, menopause. We're seeing the shifts in our lives, our friends' lives, and to be able to help coaches navigate through that, to be able to partner with Dr. Cheryl on the development of that has been such a privilege. So that alone was incredible. But then we decided, okay, well, we're not going to stop there. We launched our Holistic Nutrition and Health Coaches Club.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that membership was like a long undertaking as well, because that was about, I want to say we spent about 8 months discussing what that would even look like. We had
Yeah.
so many meetings, countless meetings, talking about what does this membership look like? How does it serve people? We changed the flow of it. I don't even know how many times before we actually like said, okay, no, this is it. This is how we're going to service, because what we really did, and again it goes back to like either reflection or looking forward, but reflection, we were looking back at like our journey in becoming coaches and building businesses and thinking, what are the things, and what are the things that we're hearing from graduates of our academy that they need to be able to support them in the
Mhm.
best way possible. So that whole holistic nutrition coaches club came from this idea of like, how can we help people fast track their business, focus on their clients and focus on servicing their clients, and not have to focus on all of the back end stuff. So giving them templates and tools to be able to use that are proven systems and models and challenges and all of these materials,
And
and have them all
recipes and
beautifully designed, rather than having them be like when we started our business, I always laugh because I always think about, and I tell people this story a lot where I'm like, when we look back at our business, when we started our business, we bootstrapped the whole thing. We couldn't afford graphic designers. We couldn't afford coaches. We couldn't afford any of those things. And so we were like sending out Excel spreadsheets to our clients. Everything was janky. It was all like, us trying to design stuff, which was not done well.
And
It
back
was like
then
the best
too,
we could do. Back
well,
in the
back
day
then
too,
too,
there was
there
no
wasn't things like
tool.
Canva. There wasn't
I
things like Canva.
know, I know.
It was like you had to do like a clip art.
Like a
Like
hand
I don't even
drawing.
know.
I know they were so bad, but I'm like, when you think about that and you think about, we were able to do that, but it took us so much time and energy to build those
Mhm.
things and to even recognize what do our clients need to be successful. So now that we know those things and we have such a deep understanding of like the materials that you need to be able to run successful businesses and programs and offers, we're like, okay, that's it. That's the answer. That's the answer to, it's the solution to the problem that most coaches are having, which is I don't know what my clients need. I don't know how to build it and I don't know what to do with it. I don't even know how to utilize this or how to even get started. And so, but we also, we made a commitment that when we built that, we were going to make it so that it was super affordable because again, starting out as a coach, we paid for everything out of our own pockets and we didn't have money to invest. So we were like, how can we make this so that it's literally the same as like, you know, buying two coffees,
Pretty
essentially.
much.
Like, I know, like buy two of my sugar-free, lemonade-free iced green teas at Starbucks. Um,
But it's like that alone too, like, you know, it's funny, even we were saying about the conversations having it, it's like I always think of when we launch a new certification, a program, a product, a membership, it's like it's almost like you have the pregnancy phase with it. It's like you're growing it. You don't know what it's going to look like yet. You know it's growing. You know it's like under like even though you can't see it, it's manifesting, it's building, it's and then there's the birth into the world. And it's like that almost again, it's the scariest thing, but I always say to our students too, like you've got to put your work out in the world because it will never be what it's meant to be until it's out in the world. It's a living, breathing thing. You have your idea of what it should be like, or you want it to be quote unquote perfect. But until it's out there and it's getting feedback, it's like a baby, right? You have all these ideas, you want them to be, a really well-mannered, calm, polite, all this stuff. And then they interact with the world and then they, throw a tantrum in the middle of Walmart. Like it's you have your version, but then it will become also what it's meant to be based on, you know what I mean, who it is meant to be in the world. And that's what I love. I love the idea of when we do launch our programs, like we don't do things like we always do things with the mindset of it's a long game because I don't want to rebuild the wheel every, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, okay, we're
no.
doing this membership, it's go time. Which is why too, one of the things I don't want to get jump ahead of myself, but what we're talking about doing in Q4, like we're launching our YouTube channel. And we've been talking about this forever and going through all of the mindset blocks about it and going through all of that. But it's like that has been incubating and it's about to be ready because once we start, we don't stop. It is an ongoing project, right? So it's like
Mhm.
that's where I think too, we also launched our Menopause Coaches Club, which
Yes.
is a membership that is tied in with our menopause certification for coaches who um, are well, you can also take it too if you are not a graduate of the program. At first, it was only for graduates of the program, but it's an ongoing membership with live coaching calls every single month with Dr. Cheryl and myself. Last month, we talked about some awesome business opportunities that happen with menopause coaching. We talked about a nutrition audit. So we have these live workshops 2 times a month. We have newsletter, evidence, sorry, it's full of evidence-based research that's going out to keep you current. We have a member spotlight. We have Q&As in there. We have so many great things that are there to help you be able to grow your menopause knowledge and skill set ongoing because just like what we teach in our certification, it doesn't end there. It's ongoing. Like your menopause journey will always be changing because your hormones are always changing. So it's giving access and support on that as well. So I'm really proud of both of those memberships. Like I'm really proud of the certification too, but the memberships now we're at almost 450 members in our holistic nutrition and health coaches club. We have over 100 members in our menopause coaches club, and we have big goals to like double that over the next 3 months, triple
Yeah.
that even. We're actually after this going to go through our actual numbers. But those things alone, while still, and this is what I have to remind myself, while still traveling with this to learn and invest in ourselves in this coaches group. We were gone in April, we were gone in June, we were gone pretty much July, beginning of August, we were gone the beginning of September to take time away from our families, time away from our team, like all of that to invest in our growth because your business will only grow as much as you do. And then also on top of that, I have a 3-year-old and being a
Yeah.
mom and raising a toddler who's home 24/7 up until this point. So like there's times when I look back and I'm like, "Oh, I feel like we didn't like I got nothing done this year." I'm like, "What?
I know.
What?"
I know, it's crazy. Well, also, I just wanna add too, not only did we launch all these other programs, but we also certified hundreds of people through our program. So,
Yeah.
it was also it's not even just about the new programs, but it's also about the new coaches that have come out into the world. Like, I don't have the exact number because 'cause we're gonna go through our numbers later today, but we've literally certified hundreds of graduates in all three of our certifications throughout this past year. So when you think about the impact that that's making, we're impacting coaches and aspiring coaches with all of our new offers and new programs, but then we're also now impacting the people that have graduated. We're impacting them, their families, their communities, the people they're going to service, and it's just like this ripple effect that's happening around the world while we're still operating, like you said, like still operating on a day-to-day basis, traveling all the time. I have a young daughter as well. Like we're busy moms, CEOs, running all these things and operating our household, trying to maintain some sort of level of, for me, I know that this past year my friendship slash relationship vibes have been on the back burner because I've
Me
been
too.
focused so heavily on work and so heavily on personal growth, my own health journey, like all of these things that everything else has kind of went on the back burner, but I'm okay with it. But it's like understanding it, right? Like it's about looking at like when you do the reflection and you look back and you're like, okay, but in order for me to achieve these things, some other things had to give because there's only so much capacity in some ways, right? And so you have to make decisions sometimes. And sometimes those decisions are not the ones you want to make. Like, of course, I want to be going out for dinner once a week and doing all these fun things. It's just not on the in the cards in this moment. But
Well, it's not even the cards, it's the decision that you've made, which is why, again, going through that rating system, I love doing it every quarter because it gives you a chance to say, do I like those numbers or are those numbers negative for me? So, like, for example, if I was giving my friend relationships, lower, like it's a 1, it didn't get a lot of attention, but I'm like, but that was my decision. And it becomes that you don't feel your life is happening to you. You're like, I made that decision and this is,
totally,
the outcome that I was going for, whether that worked or not. The outcome was business growth because I'm very in tune with myself and my energy levels and I can tell very easily when I'm getting burnt out, overwhelmed, I'm at my capacity. And I don't allow myself to go past it anymore. Like I used to, and I don't because it's not worth again for the long game. I'm going to be pushing through for a burnout later on. So I'm like, no. But for me too, like that was my decision as well. But heading into Q4, I'm like, I want more time with friends and family. I feel like I know where my shift is happening because I'm not going to be traveling as much. And I'm ready to be like, okay, I'm ready to work, but I'm going to be working from home. I'm not going places. Like, so it's like, that's my kind of like, I'm ready for that as well. So it's interesting because it's like this year has been a lot about growth, right?
yeah,
But I do feel like so far, and we'll do a big reflection at the end of the year too, like in Q4 to talk about how this next 3 months, which we're going to talk about quickly at the end of this. Um, but when I look back at this year, it has been a lot about creation, growing, but through that, I feel like too, and I don't know about you, but every time we do something new in our business, like I was saying earlier, like it's like I test it and I think this is, you know what I mean? Like what I want. I'm like, oh, I think this will be the outcome. But there's so many times over the years that we've tried things or built things that weren't really what I speak to my heart for the long term. Right. So there's things, of course, like our certifications and things that it have been, but there has been times in between where, you have different coaches and you're trying different things and whatever. But I feel like this year, it's like all this growth. I feel like it's the direction I've always envisioned our business to be going in. And even though we still have a lot of things going on, I feel like everything is flowing together in a different way, as opposed to being like, we have this program, like we have our fitness and nutrition expert program, we have our holistic weight loss coaching program, we have our menopause coaching. They all make sense to each other now. And then these memberships make sense to them as well. So it's like, I just feel like it's part of that self-discovery of like who I want to be as a coach, who I want to be as a leader, what is the contribution I want to make to my students and to the world. And I feel like this part of the year has been, I see the path now. I see the direction that I'm going in and I want to go in. And like the one thing too that I realized too, even after this coach challenge we just had, is how much I miss coaching and teaching. I feel like I've been in that development mode behind the scenes that I haven't been with, my clients as much or teaching about the stuff that got me here to begin with. And I'm just so excited to be doing more of that with some of the projects that we have up and coming. So,
Totally.
um,
I mean, I agree with you too. And I think I want to add two things to that. One, I agree with you on like the coaching thing, because that's even why in our holistic nutrition coaches club, I was like, hey, I want to volunteer every month to do a workshop. And then now in our grad group, one of the things that we're developing and implementing is we're going to start doing business workshops in there as well, because I'm like, it's actually one of my favorite things to do. And when I do these live workshops every month in the Holistic Nutrition Coaches Club, I can feel like I spend so much time prepping for it. Like I do so much prep work because I'm like, I just want to blow their minds. I want to give them such good information that's going to help and actionable information that can just like help them get to this place. But also, I get so much from it because it feeds so much energy because it feeds this part of me that loves to be able to support, to be able to help, to be able to teach, to be able to educate, right? And so I love doing that part of it. But the other thing I wanted to mention when you were talking about how over the years it's like finally everything feels like it's like it flows together and it's this natural consistent flow between all of the programs and offers. I just want to add to that for anyone listening, if you are in business, like we've been in business now for 16 years. We just
mhm.
celebrated our 16th anniversary, which is crazy. And like if you are in business, whether you are starting out or you're in business for 3 years and you still feel like there's like parts that are like, it's like disjointed or energy, like you're like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm offering this and this. It's like the one piece of advice I would give you is really sit down and try to reflect on like, how can I make this all feed into each other? Because once you have this and it's like an ecosystem that feeds into one another, it is such a like, not calming feeling, but it feels different when you're operating your business where you know that like
Feels like a
everything
machine. Like
is,
it's actually
yeah,
run. Yeah, like every
it's
piece has a
all running
purpose.
smooth. You're not running things in pieces and you're not feeling like my brain is getting split between one and the other, because even though we have all these separate programs, because they all feed into each other and because they are all part of this ecosystem, it all makes sense. And so if you are operating in that way, just know that like it took us many, many years to get to this place. And so don't feel like frustrated or upset about that, but just think about how could you make it so that you have this machine built out for yourself too, and how could they, what are you missing? What is the missing link in your business to connect the things that you have? Or is there something that is so disjointed that maybe you need to let go of? And that's also something that we've done over the years, is just letting things go that we were just like, maybe this doesn't make sense for us anymore. Like our boot camp program, we did it for a decade and then we were like, okay, we taught this for a decade and it's an amazing program and
Yeah.
we built assets that we can now sell for the long game, which is like our done for you 8 week weight loss. I mean, our done for you 8 week boot camp program and all those things. But operating the boot camps as we were wasn't serving us the same way. And so
Well, no,
just
it was
really take, yeah,
we
after
were
a
ready to
decade of
move on.
doing it, we were like, okay, I
But
think a
it
decade is a good number
also,
to have.
but I also feel like too, it's like, you know, well, we did the same thing last year. We made the decision last year, which is going to segue me into talking about this coming quarter.
This
Um,
coming quarter is going to be crazy.
we did the same thing. We made the hypothesis. We decided, okay, you know what? We felt a little bit split in between because we had at that time our two main certifications, our fitness and nutrition expert certification to become a group fitness instructor, a personal trainer, a nutrition and wellness coach with one certification. And that was our flagship program. And then we built the holistic weight loss coach certification off as like the next level. Not that you had to take one, like you had to take that to take the holistic one, but it was built, that was our first one. Then we had our second one, but we were seeing the interest in the holistic nutrition weight loss coach certification and around nutrition and weight loss coaching was so much more that we decided for a while, and we knew we had this menopause certification that was coming that goes very hand in hand with that, with both of those certifications. We made the decision to put the fitness and nutrition expert certification in the vault. So end of last year, we retired the fitness and nutrition expert certification, and we're not accepting any new students. We opened up a couple small enrollments, like 1 or 2 times, but other than that, it was, because we wanted to put all of our focus and energy, because we were building out this holistic nutrition coaches club, this other coaches club, and we're like, where does the fitness and nutrition expert program fit into all of this? So we put it in the vault. And then we decided that in Q4, we're bringing it out of the vault. So
Yeah.
that is one of the things we don't know yet. We're going to be talking about this after this. So you guys are on the ride with us. We don't know when we're launching it. We think it's going to be the end of October, beginning of November, that we're going to have a start date. We've had so many emails and so many inquiries about it. But for a while, we couldn't see where it fit in the piece, because it was always these other certifications were all kind of around more the holistic nutrition side of it. It included fitness as a lifestyle piece. But then now we're like, oh, we see how it's going to flow into the bigger picture of things. Because the last thing we want to do is being like, we're jumping from launch to launch to launch to talking about 5 different programs. But all of these things are our passion, and we just couldn't figure out a way of how do we put them all together. So that's one of the big things that we have up and coming after doing some reflection, looking at some things that we've done this year. We're like, okay, it's time. It's time for it to come back.
It's time for it to come back. And I mean, it was our flagship program. It was our first certification, and it is such an amazing program. I truly believe that. And, we spent a lot of time also going through the material recently to make sure that it was like up to date, that it's current. We're going to do that one more time. And just like before we launch it back out into the world, we always do that because we want to make sure that what we're giving to all of you is the most current, most up to date, and most helpful information that we can provide. And I don't know, it's exciting for me because I feel like it's, we've had it in the vault for a year. We did this test. We put all of our energy and our focus into certain areas rather than splitting all of our energy. So if you are a coach listening too, and you feel like you're always split your energy, it is important to have space to be able to really think about one particular thing or two particular things to really give it the love that it needs. But now that we have this machine that's operating, we actually see the missing link is actually the fitness and nutrition program. Like we can actually see where it fits now. And so that's what's so cool about it, is that it gave us the opportunity to be able to actually see in the actual model where we're missing and what we're missing. And we're like, oh, we already have the thing. We already have the program, and we just have to slot it back in there now. And
Well,
then
and
we
I
can wait.
also feel like too, it's, you know, and that's why when you were saying earlier about like if someone's listening to this and they're thinking that, like we've had our business for 16 years, but like even if you're just launching something, that's the thing. You're going to test things, and there's things you're going to try that you're never going to do again. Or you're going to be like, I thought I wanted to do that and I didn't. It's like when I thought I wanted to do one-to-one coaching, and I want to do, I love groups. I love group coaching. So but the only way for me to know that was to do the one-on-one coaching. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know
Totally.
that till, and also one-on-one coaching is easier when you're first starting. But anyways, it's like, but when you are building something, I was saying this to one of our friends the other day because she was launching a new business, and I was like, is this something you want to talk about for the rest of your life? Because that's kind of one of the things that I look through, the lenses, the questions I ask when we're launching something. Is this something that if I would want to talk about this for the rest of my life? Because the things I want to talk about for the rest of my life are fitness, nutrition, mindset, business, um, goals, possibility, all the things that we talk about at Fitness Academy. We've been talking about this for 16 years in different ways, shapes, or forms. And I still love talking about it, and I still want to keep growing it and learning more and talking more and sharing more and building our network and our team and our clients and our students, like all of it, right? But that's one question, because so many times people think they want something because they want to do it because they want money. They want to, make money off of selling something. They want to, it's a topic that's hot right now, right? That they're like, but it's like you have to be a student of life of your craft. You have to always be growing. So you have to be interested in it. So that's one thing I always say is just whatever you're thinking about, you are going to try things that don't fit. You might not see your big machine yet or how it's all going to work. But even one qualifier is just to ask yourself, is this something I'm going to want to talk about for the rest of my life? Because if you're just suddenly launching something to do with, I don't know, protein powders, and you have zero interest with protein powders, but you're like, oh, I see that people are making money selling protein powder supplements, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you could do that. You could make a lot of money, but if you're not passionate about it, you're never going to put in the work that's required. And also, you're going to always be reinventing new things as opposed to focusing on how to market that one thing in different ways and share it with the world in different ways. Right. So I think it's so important because especially in today's day and age where it's really, we're inundated with so many different things and we think we should be doing everything. It's like, okay, what's the thing that you want? What's the long game for you? What's the topics for you? And that's what's wonderful, right? It's like we get to talk about stuff we love every single day in just
I
different
know,
ways.
I know.
In just
And
different
we've been
ways.
doing it for 16 years. And I get to work with my best friend,
Yeah. It's like,
which is like
doesn't get better
super
than that.
cool. I know.
I know.
And even
It
this
was
past
crazy.
year with all the travel, it was like I got to travel with my best friend and go do something that I love to do, which is learn and hang out with all really cool people that are also super into learning and growth and mindset and all of these things. It was amazing.
Well, and like that's the thing too. So I'm really excited about this next quarter because I feel like we've created so many things now. And now it's like these last 3 months, it's like, let's add this gasoline to the fire. So Effany is coming out of the vault. We've got some really cool events that we're planning out. Some live challenges, live boot camps, not fitness boot camps, but coaching boot camps. Um, we're going all in on the Holistic Nutrition Coaches Club, and we also are launching our YouTube channel, which if you heard us say this on our podcast before, so we have our
Yes.
YouTube channel. If you're already on it, you might be like, they already have one, but we're actually
We're doing a
relaunching it,
revamp and a
rebranding it,
relaunch.
giving it a whole new makeover, and bringing that every single well, we don't know yet if we're doing a weekly video. We're trying to try with a weekly video, I think, but it might be bi-weekly video. We're going to see because we just want it to be really good and useful and helpful and not just throwing out content. Um, and then we have another, we just don't know if it's going to be by the end of December if it's coming out.
I think we should. I think we should just say it and commit to it.
Well, one of the things that has been happening for us over the last few years, obviously, we've been focused on coaches and helping women become fitness, health, wellness coaches, menopause coaches, and build amazing businesses. And we love that. But the one thing that I've been feeling a hole in my life and my heart and my mind around, and I know Amanda's been feeling it too, was back in the day when we first had our boot camps, it was that teaching right to client, like having that relationship in a group setting where you're helping people not change their craft. And of course, the certifications change your life as well, but really helping people shift the way they eat, shift the way they move. And for people who don't want to be coaches, because
Or
that
aren't
for
sure
us
they
has
want to be
been,
coaches.
yeah, when I read back to our very first, even our branding document, and it was talking about um, like how we help women with fitness, nutrition, wellness, and mindset. That was our first we had boot camp. And it was always so women can live their best lives. And the thing I've seen as I've gotten older is just how much your life is small when you can't get your health under control. It doesn't just affect the quality of your life, it affects so much of your brain space. You have no space to think when you feel like you hate your body, when you can't get your weight under control, when you feel like you don't feel confident in your skin, you're full of self doubt and fear of failure, and all of these things that play into your overall health. So, we're launching a new
Before
membership,
the end of this year.
a new
Yeah.
community where if you want to change your life, you don't necessarily want to become a coach, but you want to transform, whether it be your health, your weight loss journey, your fitness. We're going to have a ton of mindset coaching in there. We're going to have workshops. It's going to be incredible. And it really is about helping because I know for me, it was like one thing changed my life, you know, but having a community that you can come to and be poured into every single month and you can pour into it as well. It's going to be different than anything else that's out there. Again, it's still incubating. It's still in the pregnancy phase, but
But
I feel
it'll
like it's,
launch. It'll be birthed before the end of this year
yeah.
because we're going to commit to it. and we don't break our commitments. So be on the lookout. Brand new membership for those of you listening who are just looking for support, understanding, and help to get your own health under control. And you
Yeah.
want the knowledge, the tools, and everything to make it an easy process and to be something different than you've ever tried before, because we all know that all those fad diets and all those quick fixes and all those things, they don't work. That's why we get stuck in the cycle of trying the different ones, right? Because one works for a minute and then you go back to your old habits and then you go on to the next one. And I mean, I lived through all of that myself. So have you, Laura,
Yeah.
with all of the different quick fixes. And so we want to create something that will take you to the point where you can actually get your health under control and never have to jump on one of those bandwagons again. And that's
Yeah. So
the purpose.
I'm excited.
So
So these are all the things that
we've committed. We're in. We're in now.
yeah, let us know. We have in our Q4 impossible goals.
Yeah.
And it's all tied in, but it is incredible. And just again, even having this conversation reminds me that what we've created in the first 9 months, I know we could do it. And I know, and that's the thing, when you have the foundational pieces, you could see it, because it's all about collapsing time, being able to do
Yeah.
things quicker.
I
And
love the idea of collapsing time. I love the statement even around. I love the words. I love anytime I hear collapsing time. It makes like, I don't know what it does. It does something to my heart that just is like, it's so connected. I connect with that statement so much of like, I don't even know why, but it does. It like fires me up because I'm like, oh yeah, like we can totally collapse time. We can make things faster. We can do things
well,
better.
and for me too, it's just I've been doing a lot of self-reflection over this last year around, like, who am I? What is my contribution to the world? What do I want to spend the next, I'm turning 45 in November. What do I want to be spending the next 10 years talking about and doing? What's the impact I want to have? What's my contribution? And I've already had so many great ways, and I love what we're doing now, but I know for me, and I said this to you, I've always known, I know I'm supposed to be doing something bigger than what I'm doing right now, even though I love what I do. But I also feel like exactly what I'm doing right now is just not yet it. It's part of the path of the steps to become the next version, but it's coming, and I'm just excited. I'm excited to.
And it'll uncover itself when you're ready for it.
Well,
And
that's
that's
just
the
it.
beauty. And that's the
That's
beautiful
just
thing.
it.
So, I mean, today we were talking a lot about goals, impossible goals, possible, like, and making them possible. We'd love to hear from you. Like, email us, let us know, or
Yeah.
comment and let us know. Like, if you want to email us, you can email us info@fitchicks.ca and let us know, like, what's an impossible goal that you've achieved that now has become possible? And then what is something in this last quarter, so Q4, that you're going to, whether it be personal, whether it be health related, finance related, relationship related, business related, um, whatever it is. But let us know, because we'd love to read about it and we'd love to just hear from you and hear like, what is something that you've achieved before that you thought was impossible and that now in this last quarter you're going to, like, it feels like this massive impossible thing, but you're going to do it. You're going to crush it. Because also when you say
Yeah.
it and when you put it out in the world, you commit to it in a different way and you'll make it happen.
And it's also just fun.
Yeah.
It's
I
really
love the
fun.
challenge. I love the challenge of trying to think differently. I actually love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's just really fun. Okay, everybody. So that was our podcast for today. Hopefully this was helpful. So make sure to keep your eye on fitchexacademy.com, because we're going to be announcing our dates for the Fitness and Nutrition Expert Program. We're going to be sharing, if you're not on our email list, you can head over to fitchexacademy.com and get on it, where we have our weekly newsletter. We drop a lot of updates of what's going on, and stay in the loop of when we have all these things that are launching. Also, you can win some cool prizes on there too. So hopefully we will see you in the Academy in some way, shape, or form soon. And we're really excited to crush Q4. Have an amazing day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.